So altogether, we have 4 speakers for you today, and for the first 2 speakers, we have a short Q&A session after the presentation, and the last 2 speakers will be sort of going in a row, and we will take the Q&A after the last presentation then. And I hope that Talia will talk a little bit about the SUBMARINER and the Accelerator during her talk, so I will not go into details with that, but just briefly to tell you that as I mentioned, one of the organizers is Tartu Biotechnology Park. I'm Sven Parkel. I'm the general manager of Tartu Biotechnology Park, and as the name implies, we are a science park, which means that we offer a real estate service for life science companies. We work with our companies, SMEs, startups through European funding, through different projects. One I mentioned already was the Baltic Blue Biotech Alliance project, and we also have a short, small incubation program. So the Blue Biotech has been one of our focus areas for years now, and then we're trying to develop both the Estonian but also the European ecosystem in that, as we're also one of the countries around the Baltic Sea region. But now I would give the floor to Katrin Saar. She's a national delegate and NCP for food security, sustainable agriculture and forestry, marine, maritime and inland water research, and the bioeconomy. And she will introduce.
Good morning from my side. I work at the Estonian Research Council as an NCP and a delegate. And today, let's firstly look a bit in the future and see what the future will bring us with the Horizon Europe program. This is a successor for the Horizon 2020 program that will end at this year. And the Horizon Europe will be starting in January next year. So the budget for this new program was planned 1 billion euros for research and innovation. And the new program will last for 7 years, from 2021 to 2027. And of course, the member states from the European Union will participate, also associated countries like Norway, Switzerland, Ukraine. But in the next program, UK will also be a hopefully associated country. Let's see what will happen there. And of course, third countries are also welcome with this new Horizon program, like China, African countries especially. So the vision for the new program, quite a lot of budget will go to the climate change and tackling the climate change. The goal is to also achieve sustainable development goals and to boost the European Union's competitiveness and growth. So the goal is to strengthen the scientific and technological basis, boost innovation, get more jobs for citizens, and so on. So the structure of the Horizon Europe, it looks a bit similar to the Horizon 2020 program. We have 3 pillars like there. The first pillar is dedicated to excellent science. The second pillar is formed for clusters. Cluster is a new keyword for the Horizon Europe. And this pillar is to achieve the global challenges and boost the European industrial competitiveness. And Pillar 3 is for Innovative Europe, and both Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 are quite interesting for the Blue Bioeconomy. So we will look those two a bit closer. So Pillar 2, especially cluster number 6, the last cluster here, is called Food, Bioeconomy, Natural Resources, Agriculture and Environment. Here you will find many interesting topics for you. And the aim of this cluster is the need for transform European economy and society. because we need to reduce environmental degradation, halt and reverse the decline of biodiversity, and better manage our natural resources. And of course, this all needs to serve the climate objectives and to ensure food and water to all European citizens. So a bit of keywords for this cluster number 6. At the moment, we are working on a program for the first 2 years, 2021, 2022. I have to say this is initial information. This can change, and this is also unofficial. So please keep this in mind. But I picked up a few keywords from the topics that could be interest of you. So seed to fork is the first one. This is part of the farm to fork strategy. And this will be also a part of the work program for the next 2 years. Blue bioeconomy itself, of course, biotechnology, unlocking alga's potential, biodiversity in primary production, genetic resources, nature-based solutions, sustainable fisheries and agriculture, and transforming food and food systems. There you can also find some keywords and topics related to the aquaculture and blue bioeconomy. So this is a short overview of the next interesting keywords for you maybe. Keep these in mind. Now a bit about Pillar 3, Innovative Europe. Here you can find firstly European Innovation Council, AEC. This is to support rapid scale-up in innovative companies. This pillar also supports mainly SMEs, startups, and in exceptional cases, small mid-caps at European or international levels. Here you will find two very important complementary instruments. First, pathway grants, where you can bring your ideas to markets. And the next one is AEC Accelerator that will continue with this Horizon Europe program. The application conditions will be changed. How much, we don't know yet exactly because the work is still ongoing. But the first cutoff is planned at the end of the second quarter of 2021. So this is a time period you can keep in mind if you're interested of this instrument. A new approach in the Horizon programs, a new generation of objective-driven and more ambitious partnerships. There will be 3 different kinds: co-programmed, co-funded, and institutionalized. So co-program will be implemented by independent partners and European Council. Those independent partners usually are some associations or industries. The second one is co-funded partnership that is based on joint partners. Usually these are member states and funding organizations. And for you to participate in this co-funded partnership, your member state ministry has had to join. So these decisions for the next 2 years were made in October already. So if one of the ministries in your country joins, then you can probably participate in the partnership calls. If not, unfortunately, you cannot. These co-funded partnerships are very similar to the Aeronets in the Horizon 2020 program. So if you're familiar with Aeronet, it will be quite similar. And the last one is institutionalized. These are based on some regulations, and this partnership is run by different associations or industries that come together and make an agreement. In some cases, researchers, scientists, and small companies can also join in these calls, but this will be decided by the partners that join this institutionalized partnership. So, looking at the partnerships themselves, first, Water for All. It is actually called Water Security for the Planet. This is a co-funded partnership that will start in the next 2 years. As I said, the member state had to join it. And each member state chooses themselves who will be funded, what kind of organization, is it research or companies, and what kind of activities will be funded. Let's say it is very similar to the ERANET. If ETAG, Estonian Research Council, will fund, we will fund probably all organizations, research organizations and companies, and we fund both basic research and applied research. But for example, if a ministry in your country decides they will fund only applied research and only for companies or only for research organizations, then that will be it. And the aim of this partnership is to achieve reduced water stress, protect the water, and basically give enough water for everyone, for citizens, for nature, for industry. And this should be achieved already by 2030. So the next partnership is also co-funded partnership that will start in the next 2 years, Blue Bioeconomy, or European Partnership for a Climate Neutral, Sustainable and Protective Blue Bioeconomy is the full name of it. In some cases, you will find it referred as Blue Ocean also. The aim of this partnership is to achieve a climate neutral, sustainable and protective blue bioeconomy that also preserves the biodiversity, and this all needs to be achieved by 2030. The text for this partnership will be part of the Cluster 6 work program. The same is for the Water for All partnership. So everything, all the calls will be published in this Cluster 6. So, but next to the partnerships, there is another new tool in the Horizon Europe program that is called missions. And I will especially introduce the water mission. First, we have 5 mission areas: adaptation to the climate change, soil health and food, climate neutral cities, cancer, and healthy oceans, seas, coastal and inland waters. And these mission areas were selected from the areas that are very important to European citizens and need to have strong visibility and impact. So how will the missions work? The missions will specifically target global changes and target clearly measurable and achievable with the portfolio of research and innovation measures. How this will come to life is not clear yet. In some ways it will be part of the clusters, in other ways it will be separately. Each mission has a mission board that will put together a portfolio and texts, and hopefully soon we will see what the missions will bring to us. So the mission Starfish, or the Oceans mission, is to restore our oceans and waters. And this mission has 5 overarching objectives for the 2030. So 5 because the starfish has 5 legs or so. So the objectives are filling the knowledge and emotional gap, regenerating marine and freshwater ecosystems, zero pollution, decarbonizing our oceans, and revamping governance. So a bit of the timeline for the Horizon Europe. At the moment, the work is ongoing with the work programs in all the clusters. The start of the Horizon Europe will be January next year, but the work programs for the clusters are probably being published at the end of the second quarter of the 2021, so in the springtime. The partnerships that I mentioned are planned to start in the end of the 2021, in the fourth quarter, so a bit later than the work programs. But no information is yet available about the start of the missions. Probably it will be more like the end of the 2021 or maybe even 2022. So this was all for the future, but we still need to look a bit about the present. And now we have a Green Deal call that is ongoing. So European Commission launched the 1 billion call for research and innovation projects. This call will end 26th of January next year. It has 10 call areas with subtopics, and mostly it consists of research and innovation action and innovation action projects, but there are a few support and coordination action projects also. So this Green Deal call is to respond to the climate crisis and sustain our ecosystems and biodiversity. So if you have any interests about this Green Deal call, you can freely contact me. And if you're applying in the call, you have to keep in mind to consider the Green Deal policy objectives, definitely when you're putting together the application. So here for the reminder, there are 10 different areas. In the Estonian Research Council, we have an advisor for every area. So here you can find the names. If you need to contact us in specific call area, you can feel free to do so. You will find contacts in our website. And one more action is going on still with the Horizon 2020. This is an ERANET Blue Bioeconomy. At the moment, there is a call results under evaluation. The aim of this ERANET is to identify new and improved existing ways of bringing bio-based products and services to markets and to enhance the blue bioeconomy field. So this ERANET has 27 partners from 16 countries. There is expected 2 more calls, 2021 and 2022, and the next call probably will be launched in the 3rd or 4th quarter of next year. So keep your eyes on it. If you're interested in this ERANET, Estonian Research Council also funds Estonian partners, both research organizations and SMEs, and both fund the basic and applied research. So you can find more information on our website, and if you need any support from the Estonian Research Council, you can apply to our newsletter or join our news list. We have advisors for every field, NCPs. You can find information from Research Council website or horizon2020.ee website. If you have Facebook, you can join our Facebook group where we post all the call information and partner search for the Green Deal call, for example, some event information. So if you have a possibility to join there, we would be happy to have you. So this is it from my side.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, my question was, maybe I can postpone the Has Estonia joined question, because I see that we have a lot of international people attending, so I can discuss with you directly later on that which activities Estonia is planning or has joined. But then on one of the slides you had that emotional gap filling is something that will be supported. It was a bit confusing. Could you elaborate a bit more on this?
Yes. So the mission Starfish, or all the missions, will be to help the citizens, and this emotional gap is meant more of this by the citizen sides. So the citizens will feel the need to protect our waters. So this is meant for the emotional camp. So more socio-economical measures.
Okay. No more questions from my side. Thanks.
Thank you, Katrin, and thank you, Lina. I also see that Clara has a couple of questions, but Clara, are you here? Would you like to turn on your mic and ask it directly? I'm not sure if you already got your reply to the first question or not. Okay, yes, I can ask Clara. So Clara asked that do the instruments described in the Pillar 3 only apply to early stage startups or also late stage SMEs?
We don't have that information yet. As I said, the work is still ongoing, so the rules are still being decided, but that will become clear in the springtime, probably.
Thank you, Katrin. And so thank you, Katrin. Moving on from here, I'm giving floor to our next speaker, who is Anu Oks from Estonian Business Angel Network. So she's the CEO of this network, and she will tell you about how to build a bridge between startups and investors, and expectations of investors to startups and businesses. So if Katrin was more talking about the opportunities for maybe a little bit more to R&D institutions and public funding, then Anu will hopefully cover more of the private funding part. So Anu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sven. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So yes, this is true. As Katrin was telling you, more of a grant funding, sort of free funding, or the funding that's not cost you anything, or doesn't take away the ownership from your company. Then business angels, on the other hand, always ask something back. So today I'm telling you a bit about the Estonian Business Angels Network, but for all of the international participants here, I am 100% sure that in your home countries, or at least home regions, there are different business angel networks. And just to make a small differentiation between business angels networks, is that Estban and, for example, Fiban in Finland or Danban in Denmark are NGO-based and non-for-profit organizations. But at the same time, there might be some business angel networks that are for-profit as well. So they are just the middleman in between of investors, but they also take their own share of the deals that they are sharing. So just keep that in mind if business angel investment is something that you would like to have. Of course, business angels are tending, at least in Estonia, look more towards into fast and easily and basically, stupid to say, but cheaply growing companies and those possibly unicorns. So we see more and more deep tech investments also from business angels, but to give a red line, it's not a majority of investments that go into deep tech or very science-related technologies or startups. But anyways, just a few thoughts from Estban. So what is Estonian Business Angels Network? We are an umbrella organization of business angels, not only in Estonia, but we have, I think, 1/4 of international investors also in Estban. So Estban, the main idea is to connect and educate business angels and increase investment quality, and thereby helping innovative startups to grow So we are the middleman in angel investing, and angel investing is one of the earliest stages of investing that a company gets. So there's quite a big deal of educating startups as well and investors as well. So we're trying to be in the middle over there. So 170 business angels in Estban network. Just as a comparison, we are quite small, but not the smallest. I know in Litvan and Latvan, they have around 50. So Lithuanian and Latvian, they have around 50. In FIBAN, there's over 700 members. So we are quite in the middle. And Estban is only organized or functioning business angel network in Estonia. So there are some groups of friends who invest together, but they're not calling themselves BANs. So we're doing over 200 investments per year, and last year it wasn't a record year, but over 10 million euros angel investing capital was going through Estban. And the investment range for very early startups and early stage companies with 20,000 euros. And if we put together some syndicates, then investment could go up to 200 or 250,000 euros for investment. We are doing quite a lot of joint deal screening and due diligence in Estban, but still investor is responsible of their own investments by themselves. So they're making the decisions individually. Estban is known for a large and lively network. So that's why investors are here. And it's easy to say that there's no startup or successful big success story of startups in Estonia that don't have Estban investors on board. And if you are just building one, make sure to come by to Estban and let's see whether we could help you. So at the moment, there's two parallel lines of processes in Estban. Probably you can find similar ones in your regional bands as well. So there are very ongoing process of networking and pitching events, which is popular and main in every band. So every 6 weeks we have a pitching event. And in order to join the event, you can come through Startup Includer, which profile looks something like that. So the information that you need to provide for investors would be the problem, the solution, then what kind of business are you doing, what market are you obtaining. And then you get a pitch, and also we're hosting one-on-one meetings with investors and startups. And then there's the syndication process. Out of hundreds of startups, we choose one to invest. So it's like a contest, but we are making an investment there as well. And the deal flow is usually coordinated with bigger startup conferences. The next one is coming up in Tartu. So it's in January in Tartu Startup Day, and the deadline would be, I think, 1st or 2nd of January that you need to send your application in to compete for the funding. And we're putting out a 200K ticket over there as well. So just as an example how a business angel profile or a startup profile sent to business angels would look like, it's very important to add a pitch deck here, which is one of the main things that investors are looking at. So what should the startups have to get angel investing? It's not very simple, and startuppers themselves say that getting investment on board is a basically full-time job. So what you need to have already is the team that could work without the CEO or CFO who's working on getting the investment on board. But in Estonian case, we have defined a startup to be a business entity that is actively starting activity with purpose of developing and launching a business model or a new technological component with high global growth potential, like local and lifestyle businesses are not startups. And why I'm bringing this definition is that angel investors are looking for startups. They're looking for growth, and in the end, an exit opportunity. So lifestyle businesses usually isn't something that angel investors invest in. The solution has to be innovative and replicable. So it has to grow around the world. And angel investors, whatever startup they're looking, they're asking themselves whether this startup could bring 10x, meaning 10 times money back for their investment. If it's not, then they're going to say no. So basically, what you should keep in mind before coming to talk to angel investors is that, do you have all of those circles covered? Do you have a product that is needed on a market? So do you have a product market fit, PMF, product market fit, at this very moment of time? So in startup world, there is a saying that you're too early, and then they're too late. So it's important to have accurate timing with your product. As well, do you have the market? Do you have the clients? Do you have a big enough market to be growing a lot? As we say in Estonia is not a market. It's a testing ground. But for startup and growth potential business, Estonia is too small. Then GTM, go-to-market strategy. So do you have a team that takes this product to this market? Do you have the resources? Do you have financials? Do you have time resources? Do you have the team resources? And also, what kind of intellectual property your team has with this product that could be protected? And what is unique? So the team brings out the uniqueness of a product. If one of those circles is missing, then there's no value. So if you have a product and a market but no team, then it would be very hard to scale. And here's a list of things to bear in mind when coming to pitch or coming to meet investors. So basically, can you say with one sentence, what are you doing? For example, like Skype, who's doing internet calls for free, or TransferWise, who's taking banks out from transferring money, or Spotify, listening to music online. So can you say in one sentence, what are you doing? And this is important to make investors understand what you're doing, but not only investors, but also your customers understand what is this exactly what you're doing. Then, of course, you have to understand your resources. What's your product about? What is the potential in your product? What is the market? Who are your customers? What's your customer acquisition cost? How much money do you need? Do you have a scalable business model? How scalable it is? What is the business model behind that? What's your revenue model? Etc., etc. So this has to be thought all through before coming. Then corporate governance, meaning all the documentation. In Estonia, we have quite good overview of documents that you need to prepare, starting from job agreements or employment agreements, up to IP or shareholders agreements or any investment agreement that you could think of. And they're listed in Startup Estonia under resources, and angels love standards or love standardized documents. So if you use those, they would never send you back saying hey, your documentation or corporate governance is bullshit. So you have to have two sets of slides. One would be the easy pitch deck that basically everybody would understand, and it's a 3 to 5 minute pitch deck. And then a longer one for one-to-one meetings when you have everything sorted out in full scale, that for every question that I might have or business angels might have, then you have an answer on the deck. Of course, one pager to just send out to anyone who might be interested. Financial predictions, so what's your financials about? And also you have to have an understanding or a full picture of your cap table and soon to be cap table. So how much money are you willing to give away from your first, second, third round of investments? And you should be willing to make periodical investor updates. And what I see more and more is that even if you don't have an investment on board, you already send those updates to investors, even if they haven't invested in you, but just to keep them in the loop and show that you're progressing and show that you're going ahead, not just stepping back and if you didn't get the money or if you did get a no on the first time. Of course, you need to have a team in the Estban, and usually in all VCs, one founder is not enough. Even two founders might be critical. So it's a 50-50 balance. 3 founders is perfect, 3 to 4. And they all need to be in the cap table. It can't be that you have one founder, one person owns 100%, and everybody else is employees. At least in VC and startup investing world, it doesn't work like that. You have to have focus, you have to understand what you're doing, and also this charm and small X factor that investors would love you. And I think this is the hardest part. You have to have the small kick that investors would be interested in you. Then I wanted to show you some general knowledge of investor types and investor rounds. So very first steps of a company would go with FFF funding, meaning friends, fools, family, fans, or Facebook. So take this small amount of money to just build a prototype and make a proof that your solution works. Then there is angel investing that covers the majority of the valley of death, where companies earn less than they spend. So the valley of death is covered usually by angels or super angels, and the end of it is covered by very early VCs. And whenever you come out of this valley of death and you break even and you get to earn more than you spend, then VCs are more than interested in your company, if you have a growth potential, of course. And then in the very end, IPO or going on a stock market is also an opportunity. Not too many startups use that, but there are still some examples for that as well. Just to make understanding, like, what is this VC and the investment world about. And before I end up and take your questions if there are any, the main question with startups and angel investing or investing as a whole is like what the valuation is about. There are tons of different methods to calculate the valuation of a startup. If you're an investor or if you're a startup asking for valuation, like asking for money, then here is a small math table. So from first year, if you have MRR, meaning a monthly recurring revenue, up to 1,000 euros, not more, and you have the growth potential month over month up to 20%, then you might ask somewhere around 150,000 euros to 400K, and the valuation would fall under 2 million, like, for sure. At the moment, we see quite a many valuations going up, rocketing in the sky, and there is no actual proof. Like, why would they need, or why would the company would be valued like that? So here's a small math table. I will share you the slides, and you can work this through or see where you belong. And also, if you Google different valuation methods, like startup valuation methods, there's tons. So every VC has worked out their own, but this is just something that in Estban, Ivo Remmel has been sharing and using to show an example. It's not just from the year, the valuation, but it's really, there's some math behind. And important is that you wouldn't give more than 15 to 25% away with any rounds that you're taking on board. So that's a very important. Other than that, you would be ending up with a screwed cap table, the least. Okay, that's it from my side. I hope you got a small overview of what angel investing is about. And I would be happy to see your profiles in Estban Deal Flow tool. or if you have any questions, just reach out to me at anu@estban.ee. And I think I'm quite on time. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Perfect, Anu. Thank you so much for this very nice overview. So it was, for me personally, it was nice to hear that we have moved from 3 Fs to 5 Fs these days, and the opportunities to get funding on the very, very early stage are sort of there. It's considered now that there are more opportunities. So, but we have 2 questions.
Camila is asking that are all startup
questions from Camila. So Camila, if you want to turn on your mic and ask those directly, or Anu can also read and tell
yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the overview and the presentation. My first question would be your network. Your members are only investors or also startups?
No, Estban members are only investors. So they pay a yearly membership fee of 350 euros, and startups are like how would you say, users or someone who would get benefits from Estban network. So yes, Estban members are only investors or corporate members.
Okay, and they all come in case of your network from Estonia because you focus on Estonian investors.
No, they might be from anywhere who's interested in this regional startup investing. So we get deal flow not only from Estonia, but deal flow from the whole region, meaning Baltics and Nordics, sometimes even further away, like Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia, like this region, and also from Central Europe as well. We get the startups. So this means that there's interest from investor side also from across Europe, but not only Europe. Again, we have some Asian investors, we have some US investors, some from Latin America as well. So yeah, a very mixed crowd.
Okay, thank you. May I ask also another question, and there is no time?
Yes, please go ahead. Ask the second one as well.
Good. Then I think, if I'm not mistaken, you showed that you have every 6 weeks a pitching event.
Yeah.
My question is, who is recruiting the startups for a pitching event which is taking place every 6 weeks, which also means that you have a lot of startups if this is so frequently happening?
Yes, actually, the startups are applying into the deal flow room or into the deal room, and out of this, those applications, angels and the staff members of Estban are choosing the startup. So we have no more than 6 or 7 startups per pitch, so that we don't just crowd up the room or the heads of investors. But therefore, the pitching startups are very well chosen, that not everybody could be there. It's again the matter of timing, the matter of how far the company has developed themselves. And yeah, so this is chosen by the staff and Estban screening members. There are some some investors who look into this. And I read that you have eternals, that visitors coming to pitching events. We don't accept them every time, but if there's some very specific interest, whether to become an investor or whether to become or come as a startup next time. So we have accepted, but this is not a rule, but an exception then.
Exception. Okay. And last thing, do you also have a case that one startup is coming to 2 pitching events with you, or you allow only one startup to pitch just once?
Actually, we have had quite a many reoccurring startups. It's just that they come in a later stage if they come the second time. They have already proven something, or they have something new to show, or some extra value to bring to investors. And this is usually half a year or even a year later when they come okay, sorry guys, I wasn't prepared the first time, but now I have this and this and this. So yes, this has happened as well.
Okay, thank you very much for the great overview.
Thank you for the questions.
Thank you, Anu and Camila. And we have to move forward now. So next up, we have Michael Brancam and Dr. Michael Brancam. And if I understand correctly, then Anu was talking about the early stage funding. So he will talk a little bit about the fundings on the later stages. He's representing, or he's the general partner at the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund, and has great expertise in all types of financial instruments and leading transactions to high-tech and bioeconomy startups. He has performed as a member of several advisory boards, assured investments in around 550 startups, closed more than 100 exits, executed over 30 IPOs, and raised almost 1 billion euros in various fundraising initiatives. And this talk will be about financing possibilities of European Circular Bioeconomy Fund. So, Michael, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the friendly invitation. Thank you for having me here. It's a great opportunity to talk about the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund and to share insights. Actually, right at the moment, we are also just a startup because we are very new on the block. So we just announced our kickoff on 1st of October. Therefore, we are still in the making. We are still doing our very best to set up a great team. So that's also exciting. So we are very close to all startups because we know what it is and how it is. But of course, as a business, we focus on later stage companies to finance the growth and to make pan-European or global companies out of the regional ones. Wonderful. So thank you very much for having me again. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And you know, the main story is that we look to the opportunities connected with the transformation process from a fossil-based linear economy to a circular one and a bio-based circular one. And there's a lot going on in this area. And that's actually why we think it is a good time to be in this sector right at the moment. So the first actually driver for this transformation process is customer. So we ourselves change our behavior. We ask for more quality on the plate, for instance. We ask for more sustainable products, different kind of packaging, different kind of nutrition. That's actually the most important pull. And of course, there's great support from different kind of institutions. From the European Green Deal is very important, but also in most of the countries, we have great support. And in addition, we think we have world-class R&D here in Europe, so that we can find good investment opportunities to scale them up and to get good returns. However, for this growth funding stage, there's a lack of finance, according to a study of the European Investment Bank. And therefore, we focus on the later stage companies having a product ready, and then they want to scale. And we are a bit in between. If you look to Anu's a great presentation, we are a bit in between venture capital and private equity. And we want to focus on this. There's a gap, and there are great. What we think is, it is a bit challenging to start a company or to scale up a company, especially in the bioeconomy sector. There's a reason is why because there's a problem, or sometimes challenging to make clear that we get enough feedstock. So the input it's a very important topic, different from the digitization area and other areas where it is not really a topic. We need to do R&D, and R&D is sometimes much more complex. You do not just focus on products, you also have to focus on processes and the production, which is very important, and you have to decide, shall I source it out or do it by myself? The organization of the company, of course, and the logistics is more complex than in most other areas. And we still have an uncertain regulatory framework. So the carbon tax is not really there. There are some great perspectives, maybe improvements, but that is very uncertain and not clear. And also the markets, the dynamic of the transformation process is increasing, but we don't know in which area we will get the first really move, and how the customers will behave, and do they really stick to their new buying behavior. And because of this great high level of complexity, you sometimes do not have the expertise in the team alongside the whole. And in addition, in this sector, many companies, they rely a lot on grants and subsidies. So there's a need for a move of the whole culture. So this is next to the great opportunities we see, we need to consider the challenges as well. However, we think we can make we can focus on these companies and help them and bring all things together. So what we want to do is we want to invest in around 25 growth companies all across Europe. So these are the countries from the European Union, but also the so-called associated countries. So many Eastern European countries are associated with the European Union, even if they are not really members, and they're all invited. And we can do this there as well. Technology readiness level is at least 6, so we focus on growth stage and want to be an active investor. We want to be partner of the entrepreneur. We want to invite other investors to syndicate with us, because we want to contribute between 1 and 15 million. So we have large tickets. If you really want to scale up significantly in this area, you most need much more than this. And therefore, we like to invite other investors. We are very close together with the European Investment Bank, because they are the main cornerstone investor of our fund. And we know some other LPs and other investors we can ask to join. And we would like to bring expertise in the scaling up process as well. All the companies need to have both a clear alignment with the environmental, social, and good governance criteria on the one hand, and on the other hand, they need to bring very high business return objectives. That's very important. The other stuff is more standardized, not very important to know. These are the ones who are going to execute it. The team is growing. We are still young, but we are reaching out to more and more people all across Europe. And that is, of course, terrific on the one hand, and will enlarge networks and the power and the quality of what we are doing. So if you feel happy, you can also join the team, which is still in the the scope of the fund, which is probably very important for you, is that we have 3 pillars to look at more in detail. So there's this, first of all, the architect, food technology, but also blue economy is very important for us. It's an upcoming field and very important. Most of these kind of things are ending on the plate. So nutrition, food technologies, and feed is very important in this area. The second one is actually packaging and new construction materials. And in some cases that goes down to the forest. You use lignin or other bio-based materials, produce new materials for packaging. And we look to white biotech. These are enzymes, biorefineries, bio-based chemicals that often enzyme personal care or others. Especially interesting is maybe textile, because there are huge waste area. We have done investments already. Actually, 2. This is the Peel Pioneers, just as an example. They focus on valorization of peels. They collect orange peels from the supermarkets and have a great plant, and they want to increase it to produce new food ingredients out of this. A very attractive way. Second one is in the food business. This company produces vegan yogurts, vegan ice cream, and vegan cheese, fresh cheese, out of lupine. So that, you know, today you can buy soya yogurts, which are very good, but these lupine yogurts are even better because the lupines are local crops, regional crops, and more and better for you. So they also put money into the plant, which is also important to mention that we can do. We are ready to even invest in production facilities. It's not the famous business, what we can do, and we are open to do that in the combination of equity and sometimes even mezzanine capital. What we are looking at, actually, our due diligence has 6 parts. So first of all, the technical due diligence, the technology readiness level is very important. We look to IP, we look to the production, is it really working? We look to the quality of the product which is coming out, and look to scaling up risk, for instance. We look to the market, you know, the feedstock, is the price development, and what kind of feedstock do you use? And the dynamic of the market, usually we expect growing markets. Information process, look to the competition and alternatives. The prices are always very, very important. Are we really competitive? And regulatory topics are also very important. We look to ESG, which is very important. Here you can see that we have a specific tool working on the environmental, social, and good governance criteria. So if there's a company is not aligned with these environmental, social, and good governance criteria, we cannot invest. So there's of course a blacklist, but also we want to see really a difference from the status quo if you come to maybe greenhouse emission. So that's a very important topic we look at. And then of course the management, the execution is very important. In fact, you always invest in people. The experience, execution power, it's important. And this is probably the most important topic, but also very, very hard to really do due diligence on it. However, if you are sometimes on the road, you can see that you have worked together successfully. The financial due diligence is also important. We look to the investment which is needed, to the costs and the margins, if you see them. At the end, the legal due diligence is more formal stuff, so we look to the contract you have signed, your governance in the company, to make sure that everything is in place, and we sign the contract. And this all is executed in 2 or 3 steps. We have first screening, a second screening, and then we deep dive in all this. So it's a bit demanding, but we need to really understand what is important. And most important is probably to have good partners to do that. We cannot focus on all these topics alone. So we are very happy to share and to invite other very important networking partners to join as a financial partner, but also as a networking partner to bring expertise or even to connect us with other great companies. So that's why we are so happy to be here today, and that we are very close with the SUBMARINER network and all the others doing business in. Because as one fund for whole Europe, we need to connect in all the regions, and we are very open and very interested in finding new friends all across Europe in this specific area. So that's why I'm so happy to be here. And of course, I'm very happy to answer any kind of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. So we will save the questions until after the Atalia's presentations, but thank you. That was very thorough, and we'll take questions after that. But now moving on to Talia's presentation. So she's the program manager of the SUBMARINER network, and she works closely with the 35 and more members from R&D and public organizations and SMEs, and promoting innovative and sustainable use of marine resources in the Baltic Sea region. And she will tell us about the Blue Growth Mentoring Program and Accelerator, and Tartu Biotechnology Park is also a part of this program. So please, Talia, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm very excited that we have so many in the audience. First of all, I would like also to thank you very much, Katrin and Anu and now Michael, to that they are offered their possibilities into the audience of how to develop opportunities from research up to innovation, up to seed and further on to growth stages of companies. So from my side, program manager of the SUBMARINER network, and I'm going to present to you a little bit about our Accelerator, Blue Growth Accelerator program that has been some years now, and it is changing shape towards the future. Just to say a little bit more about who we are and where are we coming from. We are a network of 36 members from private and public organizations all around the Baltic Sea region, so 8 countries, and Norway also. So we are research institutes, universities, governance like regions, and also small and medium enterprises, manufacturing and consulting companies. And we are working based on a roadmap on covering all these, promoting sustainable and innovative uses of marine resources. And we are working across all these sectors you see on the top line. And the Blue Biotechnology was a very promising sector, and we wanted to support it. And this is where it's all started, actually. But I will tell you more because we're working all around these sectors. And we are, in this case, developing and connecting people and developing small projects, and also promoting them to bring their product to the market. This complex slide shows a little bit our timeline. So we started in 2014, and you see now in the bottom left what are the current projects and in the future. What I want to say here is that we are curating our project results. So a project, for example, from the Baltic Blue Biotechnology Alliance developed the Accelerator and the mentoring program. And now we are operationalizing it with another project funding from Interreg. And looking in the future, it will be from next year will be outside the project boundaries, project funding boundaries. We will have Blue Growth Accelerator launched. So yes, with Gilmar in the lead since 2016, we are working on this. But looking at the future now, from spring 2021, we will keep working with the Accelerator and the mentoring program based on the successes we had. And we will have, but we will do some changes. So leveling it up to the full capacities of the SUBMARINER network. We will bring it from Blue Biotechnology that it used to be in the project timeline into the Blue Growth, taking advantage of the full capacities of our members. But then again, the cases with the aim to create also company corner in the SUBMARINER network, we will have the cases also becoming members as well, companies, and we have a company corner and develop a service especially for them as well. So the rationale behind the mentoring program at Blue Accelerator was to collaborate together at the transnational level, bringing all the expertise needed for niche sectors like Blue Biotechnology, Blue Bio, aquaculture, and also now Blue Economy, and to bringing all the actors needed to help at ad hoc and based on the needs of a case of a company to bring that from idea to the market. And we collaborate in this at the Baltic level, and also we have also actors, mentors from abroad as well. So competitive advantage of our Blue Growth Mentoring and Accelerator is that we are taking companies from technology readiness level 3 or 4. So we are helping them all along to develop the prototype, but also business development services and so on. I will go into the processes in the services in a minute. We have 100% ad hoc, case-centric, demand-driven service offer, so no curriculum. We have 70 mentors from 11 countries at the moment, all experts in some field of blue bioeconomy and product development, which they connect around the case, and we are matchmaking them to bring according to the needs articulated by the cases in their application. So we have blue detectives working 24/7, like what we are doing now, trying to bring mentors and cases on board. We have veteran cases that are peer mentoring, also fresh cases. We have the possibility, we have the opportunity to have this accelerator into a huge, a bigger network, which has also a big impact also within the Baltic and also at European level. And also we have a transnational network that we meet often, and we have a sense of trust and fun, and it's like a personal relationship. So we have so far in the 2020, I will not go back to the future, we have 35 active mentors at the moment recruited in 2020. We have 9 cases working with us. We have already piloted this with 30 cases in the past, and we have also a returning case. We have organized 3 pitching events in this year, despite odds, and also this is the second webinar on funding we had. We have also mentors forum meetings that we meet every month for 1.5 hours to catch up, and also to record both cases progress, that is startups and SMEs, or it can be coaching our mentors in what we need. And also we have investors like CBF, with the pleasure to be here today, meeting you also, Michael, and also regulars in our events. So we have increasingly developing network as well in the investor side. So all members, mentors and cases enjoy networking and matchmaking facilities. So as I said, we have the mentors forum meetings. All the mentors and cases have their profile online if they want. We have often workshops and matchmaking events. Last one was in 21st of October, a big matchmaking event. And now our final project conference that will be also launching the accelerator in the new form will be 24th and 25th of March. So please save the date for that. We have also pitching training offers to cases and mentors, and also promoting interest. And then we are also organizing, we are putting together and recently a SUBMARINER company catalog, product catalog, that will be released also in March. Yes, I mean, this is the services that we are offering. That's why I said that we are taking on board also technology and readiness levels at 3 or 4. We're offering scientific and technical support, but also biological materials, because we have a lot of network of university people as well as mentors. We have legal advisors, business development, and project development, like also had today this meeting. And for more information, please download the brochure from our website to get the full picture of what we are offering, and also, or just contact me. So about our cases, We have developing a lot of, we have seen a lot of opportunities coming out from the algae sector in particular, for both producing algae in the Baltics or product development, so food and non-food applications, and also technologies needed for producing or processing the algae. We have also increasingly interest from water technologies and improving the environment. And they are coming from both R&D, or they're coming from both from R&D, research and development stage, product development and upscaling. If you would like to join our as a mentor, please contact me or have a look in the website. If you have a business idea and you're a startup and a SME, please submit an application. And also we are very much looking for investors, sponsors and corporate to support the accelerator, both for providing opportunities for the case and adapting cases, for instance, or for opportunities for sustaining the accelerator itself. So this is from my side. If you have a question, I would be delighted to answer. Otherwise, thank you so much for your attention and for the great event we had so far.
Thank you, Talia, for an excellent overview of the accelerator activities. So we have some time now to take, although the time is technically up, we will take some time to answer any questions you may have. I see that, I think Camilla has a question to Michael. Camilla, do you want to ask it directly, or should I read?
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you. So a question to Michael from my side. Basically, can you estimate which, or in percentage, which share of your investment is dedicated actually to the blue bioeconomy? I mean, because you said there are more bioeconomies you invest in. What would be the share for the blue part?
Well, I hope the share will be high, but there's no clear structure for this. So if we meet companies which are pretty good, exciting, and belong to the blue economy, we are ready to invest. So we try to bring it up together with you.
Okay, thank you.
I cannot answer that because at the end, we see that in 5 years later on.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also have one additional question, Michal. I was wondering, how involved will you be in the companies after the investment? Do you add someone to the board, or what is your sort of involvement? Do you have someone from your team like working on a daily or weekly basis, or are you more a distant investor?
Yeah, we would like to be part of the board. We want to play an active role, but we don't run the operations. Yeah. This is very important what I think is the most benefit is, the best benefit is if we bring the best expertise for specific topics to the table. So if you want to set up a new factory, we can bring experts having done this several times before. Or if you want to do sales,
Thank you all. It was a really great webinar. Thank you all for participating. Thanks to all the presenters.